It's early in the morning, so I'm gonna need some coffee for this one. We're gonna talk about compressors, not only one compressor, but three compressors by Arturia, the FET-76, the Tube-STA, and the VCA-65, which are very nice compressors. Thank you for watching, Chris here, and yes, we're gonna look at some very cool and nice compressors by Arturia. Now, Arturia is a very cool company. You know, they're very good at emulating some analog synths, and this is what they are known for. They also have hardware like the Micro Freak that I have right here, controllers, and also mixing plugins, which a lot of people don't know about. And they've been out for quite a while. And the ones I want to show you today are the three compressors: the FET-76, the Tube-STA, and the VCA-65. Those are different types of compressors, and if you're a bit confused about what these types of compressors are all about, you can download my free guide on the fundamentals of compression. The link is down below. In this free guide, I explain to you everything you need to know about the differences between those different types of compressors. And also, I just want to note and let you know that Arturia, thanks to them, we are going to give away a full compressor bundle, okay? So if you want to get a chance to win, again, I'm going to leave the link below. Okay, so let's look at what we have here in Cubase and check this out. We're first going to look at the FET-76, which is a full emulation of the original 1176 compressor. That is actually very known. You know, a lot of companies have emulated this compressor. You probably saw this one before, and this version of the 1176 sounds actually very good. And this is something that I like about what Arturia did with their mixing plugins when they're emulating like hardware. You know, they do the job very well. It's actually very impressive. So this is what we're going to look at to start with. Now, all plugins by Arturia, and this is a very cool thing, will have a resize window. That means that you can resize the GUI itself. So if, like me, you're working in Cubase and you're using the high DPI for 4K display resolution, you'll be able to resize this window and keep a very nice, sharp image out of the GUI. So I'm just gonna go and go down to resize window and put that to 180%, and there you go, 180%. And all those plugins will also have an advanced feature that we're not gonna find on the original unit that they are emulating. So just click on the arrows that we have on the top right, and that will bring down those advanced features. So first, before going to all the parameters, let's just listen to a drum groove with the 1176 and play around with it. Yeah, I like that, you know. That's the 1176, very well known to be a fast compressor. So the attack time is like ultra fast. I think it goes down to 20 microseconds of attack time. So this is actually very fast. So if you want to just tame down the peaks of a signal or the transients, you just want to shape them up, this is the perfect compressor to go with. Classic tone, and actually it does sound very good only by tweaking, briefly the drum groove. And this is actually what we get. Now we have at the top, just to go through all the parameters briefly, the input and output knob right here on the 1176, which is the classic use of how you're gonna adjust the threshold and add more compression or less compression on the unit. So basically, the more input you add into the compressor, it's going to add more signal, which is going to add more compression. So there's no threshold parameter, per se, but you're gonna adjust the amount of compression by playing around the input knob and also bringing down, in that case, the output to balance this out. But on these plugins, you have a link option. and that will bring down the output when you add a bit more inputs. But I always find myself, by using the link option, I always find myself bringing up, a bit more output, because it brings down the output a bit too much. So if I want to keep the same balance, I always need to bring the output louder just a bit. And then we have attack and release. So slow is on the the left side, and if you turn to the right, you're going to get to a fast attack, and then ratio and so on. We have the mix knob, which is awesome for parallel compression. And if we look at the bottom of the plugin, we have the advanced parameters, which are awesome. Internal and external sidechain feature, which is pretty cool. So internal is going to be linked to the band equalizer that we have here and the high pass and low pass filters that we have. So like I did here, I have a high pass filter that goes up to maybe 100 hertz. So everything below 100 hertz is not going to be detected by the compressor. It's still going to get compressed, but it's not going to be detected by the compressor, which is quite nice. And we also have a band equalizer on top of that. We can listen to what we are, getting as far as the frequency range detection. Let me show you. So this is actually what the compressor is going to detect to add compression. In that case, that will be the sound. So if we listen in the context, so since I added a high pass filter and low pass filter and I boosted the mid-range is the signal that has been detected by the compressor. So the compressor is going to react to that band of frequencies. So that's why I don't get as much compression on the low end or, everything outside those frequencies. So pretty cool. So that can create very nice effects. Then we have the detection mode, which is only going to be available when the plugin is inserted on a stereo channel, because it has to do with the left and right channel of a stereo track. So we can, by default, it's going to be set up to linked, meaning that, the left and right signal of a stereo channel are going to be affected by the compressor. If we're putting that to dual, that means that the compressor is going to act like a dual mono compressor, meaning that the left and right side of the stereo channel are going to be compressed independently from each other. Okay, very practical. I'm going to show you more about that later. We also have a mid only, which is going to focus on compressing the center of the stereo channel, and sides, where you're going to compress only the sides. And there's also reversed that I didn't experimented with yet. Now for time warp, if we bring that down towards snap, it's going to act like a look ahead feature that we have on some compressors, and loose will delay the detection of the compressor. So that means that the initial transients of the signal can actually be undetected to some point. So it's going to just act a bit like a pre-delay on a reverb, basically. So this is what we have with time warp. And then on the right side, we have a compression range, which is going to limit the range of the compressor. So for example, I'm actually going to test this out on a bass, and let's actually try this out right away. So I'm going to go and bring a DI bass recording. Let's add some compression. Okay, let's say I'm happy with that. Let's play with the range. So if I bring the range down to 6, that means that the compressor is not going to compress more than 6 dB of gain reduction. And this is going to limit the amount of reduction of the compressor, and it's going to create some saturation. Listen to this. So if I look at my meter, I'm not getting more than 5 dB of gain reduction, and the rest is just saturation. Very, very cool. So that can be a very nice saturation plug-in effect also on top of being a compressor. So there's very cool stuff we can do with this. So I kind of like that, especially on bass. Okay, let's listen to the 1176 on a vocal.
L'autre, c'est moi, si loin, si proche. Peut-être faudrait-il qu'enfin je l'approche. L'autre, c'est toi, et ce n'est pas un reproche. Peut-être faudrait-il qu'à ta main je m'accroche.
That's pretty cool, you know? I'm getting a lot of gain reduction, and it doesn't sound like I do, you know? It sounds pretty transparent at the same time. I kind of like that. It adds a lot of color for sure. That compressor adds a bit of a tone. That sounds very good. Analog type tone, you know, if I can say that, but it does the job very well. And I can get a lot of gain reduction, get a more balanced outcome out of the vocal recording, and it doesn't sound like I'm over-compressing. Even if I am, for the sake of this tutorial, it does sound pretty good. So let me tweak a few things up here.
L'autre, c'est moi, si loin, si proche. Peut-être faudrait-il qu'enfin je l'approche. L'autre, c'est toi, et ce n'est pas un reproche. Peut-être faudrait-il qu'à ta main je m'accroche.
That's pretty cool, especially at the end. You know, at the end, like this vocal take is pretty much a dynamic take, you know. So we have the end part of that performance that goes louder than what we have before. So let's just focus on that part only. I'm going to bring that back to full compression. I was actually playing with the mix knob here. Let me just readjust that and just focus on the end part here.
Peut-être faudrait-il qu'à ta main je m'accroche.
Now what I'm doing here is I'm adding a fast attack just to focus on the peaks of that performance and a fast release. So I'm just going to tame down those peaks, and it actually does the job very well. So if I go, if we do a before and after.
Peut-être faudrait-il qu'à ta main je m'accroche.
It's out of control. Let's add a compressor.
Peut-être faudrait-il qu'à ta main je m'accroche.
Pretty nice. Love it. Okay, so this is the 1176. Very useful on vocals, on bass, on drums, especially kick snare, almost on anything. You know, very fast compressor, and it sounds very good, and very good emulation by Arturia. Now let's look at the let's go with the Tube-STA. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. Let's keep it on the vocal. And this is what we get now. This is the mono version because the plugin is inserted on a mono channel, which is my lead vocal. And I'm going to bypass the 1176 for now. And there you go. I'm going to activate this tube compressor. Now, a tube compressor usually is a bit slower than what you're going to get with an 1176. So it's going to sound a bit smoother, and this is what we're going to get with this one for sure. And this is an emulation of the Retro Instruments STA level or STA level, which is a very expensive compressor to get, you know. So I never tried it myself, but heard only good stuff. And from what I've seen online also is that this emulation is pretty much accurate to the original hardware. So again, we have the advanced features, which is the main thing on these compressors because those features are not on the original hardware. Very important to note, which makes the plugin version very, very nice to work with. So I'm going to play around with the vocal and we'll go through all the parameters afterwards.
L'autre, c'est moi, si loin, si proche. Peut-être faudrait-il qu'enfin je l'approche. L'autre, c'est toi, et ce n'est pas un reproche. Peut-être faudrait-il qu'à ta main je m'accroche.
Now you can hear a difference between this compressor and the 1176 compressor, the FET-76 actually. You can tell that this one sounds more creamier, you know, a bit more smoother. I kind of like the tone also, and it's just smooth, you know, and transparent. It's amazing because I'm getting a lot of gain reduction and still it sounds transparent. So again, if we go towards the end.
Qu'à ta main je m'accroche.
Now we have 3 modes when it comes to the attack time. We have single, we have double, and triple. Single is more of a slow attack mode, and triple a fast attack mode, and double will adapt to the incoming signal. Okay, so this is kind of a auto attack mode. Then we have recovery time, which is the release time. So let's bring this one to double.
Qu'à ta main si loin, si proche, peut-être faudrait-il qu'enfin je l'approche. L'autre, c'est toi, et ce n'est pas un reproche. Peut-être faudrait-il.
That's pretty cool. I think for this one, let's try triple.
Si loin, si proche, peut-être faudrait-il.
Yeah, you can hear that the attack is way faster. Let's go to single.
Si loin, si proche, peut-être faudrait-il qu'enfin je la.
So I think for a vocal, like for me anyways, slow attack, faster release on these types of compressors, that is going to work very well. Now this type of compressor is more like a leveler, which is going to level up the signal you're working with. So good on vocals, good on bass also. Let's try it on bass. I'm going to go back to my bass channel here. Let's bypass the overdrive of the 1176. Pretty cool. Yeah, that sounds pretty nice on bass as well. Now, something I want to show you also briefly is this little light bulb that we have on the top right. And this is going to activate the kind of a description of the parameter you are clicking on, or just bringing your mouse on. And that's it. You know, you're going to see at the bottom of the plugin what that parameter is all about. So very practical if you want to learn about this plugin. So this is actually very useful. So that was the Tube-STA or STA, depending on how you want to pronounce it. You were getting something that sounds more smooth, transparent, and natural, you know, which works well on vocals, bass, piano, and it's a bit similar to what we're going to get also with an LA2A, so it's the same type of compressor. Now let's next look at the VCA-65, which is an emulation of the DBX-165A that I never tried myself as far as the hardware goes, but I've been used to work with the plugin version of the DBX-160, especially the version done by UAD. That is an amazing plugin, and I mainly use this one on kick and snare in parallel when mixing, that I kind of like. Now, what I'm going to do now, let's go back and actually, we're going to listen to this one on an acoustic guitar, okay? So this is a stereo acoustic guitar group where I have two acoustic guitars routed into, so one to the left and one to the right, and we're going to play with the detection mode down below. Okay, so let's listen to what we have here. Now, the cool thing that we have here is the auto attack and release mode. So if we activate this, it's going to bypass the manual attack and release, and it's going to just be dependent on the incoming signal. Okay, I'm overdoing it, and I want you to hear the detection mode side. Okay, now, right now, it was done to dual. Okay, so the detection mode at the moment was set up to dual mono, which means, again, that the left side and right side of the stereo channel are independent, when being compressed. So the compressor is going to, work on the right side and the left side independently. Let's bring that down to linked, so everything works together. Now we can hear way more compression. That's because, if something gets louder on the right side, it's going to compress on the left side as well. So everything is going to be compressed equally from the left and the right. I don't know if you noticed, but the minute I went down to dual mono, it kind of opened up, The stereo image is a bit wider, and that's normal because each sides are independent on each other, as far as compression goes, and they don't get the same amount of gain reduction because it's going to depend on how loud each sides are, So I'm going to bring that back to linked and switch to dual, so just pay attention. Okay, again, I'm overdoing the compression right now just so you can hear that effect. So this is what the detection mode does in this case. Very nice. So I'm just going to rebalance that. That's pretty cool. I love the outcome of this on acoustic guitars. Acoustic guitars are hard to mix usually, so I tend to be very gentle with compression, but this compressor does the job very well. Okay, let's go and listen to a drum groove, and let's go on this one, the same we've heard before. That's pretty cool. Very snappy. Okay, I'm going to play around with the attack and release. Actually, you know what? Let's go with auto attack and release. So this is what we get with this compressor. Very snappy, very punchy. Love it. And the tone that it generates sounds very good. I love to overcompress with this compressor and play with the mix knob when mixing drums. Now we're going to listen to another live drum recording, and this one has more cymbals, sounds a bit more natural also. And I'm going to play around with the detection mode and go to, between the mid only and linked, so you can hear the difference. Okay, so now the full stereo field is been compressed, and again, this is it's kind of like a drum bus basically. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that to mid only and just focus on the center of the signal, meaning that it's going to focus more on the snare and the kick. Okay, so if you're using a compressor on the drum bus and you find that it's squashing way too much the cymbals that usually are panned left and right, that would be a very good option to go with. And by bringing that detection mode to mid only, which is going to just focus again on snare and kick, and you can actually drive this pretty hard and blend that with the mix knob. Pretty cool. I love it. Now we have more than that on this compressor. We also have a limiter mode. So if you bring that above the 0 point, it's going to start limiting. Okay. Add some compression range on top of that. And you're getting saturation, which again is pretty nice. Now I'm overdoing it, but you get the idea. So let's be a bit more gentle with this one. Sounds pretty cool. I love it. So this is the VCA-65, snappy, punchy, and you also have that compression range that we don't have on the Tube-STA, but on the FET-76 and the VCA-65 you have this very cool option. And on top of that we have the limiter side on the VCA-65, which is again very cool to work with. So these are the three compressors we have with Arturia: the FET-76, the Tube-STA, and the VCA-65, which all of them sound just amazing. So check them out. I'm gonna leave the link down below. And also, if you want to get a chance to win a full compressor bundle by Arturia, get into the raffle. The link is down below, and get a chance to win. Good luck. And if you have any questions, comments, leave everything down below. Share and like if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Until next time, take care and see you.